Hi, this is Eternal King here, bringing you another gaming video today. So, sorry for some negative vibes around my birthday. Generally speaking, there was two kinds of men in the world. There are men who love their birthdays because they have a good support structure, and then there's men who hate their birthdays because bad things keep happening on them. I'm a little more in the second camp. But moving forward, we're all good vibes here. We're taking a look at Valkyria Chronicles.
Otherwise known as the Empire.
So if you don't know about Valkyria Chronicles, it is a JRPG, but much like a lot of games, it is a multi-genre spanning game. It's also a third-person shooter in many respects, but I would call it a Japanese RPG or JRPG. And it's also turn-based. Valkyria Chronicles is a lot of things. It has a partial turn-based system, it is a third-person shooter, and it's a JRPG all in one. It is a multi-genre spanning title, and it's kind of, a faux World War I fantasy scenario as well. It's also a class-based RPG. All your characters that you have in the game are class-based. So again, Valkyria Chronicles, when it came out on the PS3 as an exclusive, was well received for the most part. And this is, of course, the PC version that we're looking at right now. There's also a sequel to Valkyria Chronicles that I have on PS4. But we're going to be looking at the original just for the purposes of this video. Because the original, I think, was a little more popular. Only because it was on the PS3, and the PS3, I think, during certain points in its lifespan, didn't have a ton of, really amazing software, so it was a PS3 exclusive, this game, and it hit a really big splash, for sure. It made a huge impact as a PS3 exclusive. Meanwhile, the sequel, you can play on PS4, but it didn't, garner the same kind of attention, even though it's basically an identical game in most respects. So, if you don't know, the concept of this game is that you're essentially, in a fantasy version of the Netherlands, while Germany is invading. Or you're possibly a Dutch resistance force in this fantasy version of history, as, shown up by Japan.
I haven't been down this road in years. It really hasn't changed very much.
The voice acting is strong, even right up until I would say the PS2 was the last generation where you would find really janky voice acting for JRPGs. Final Fantasy X with Titus laughing and everything.
Starting early this year. You're heading upstream, huh?
Yeah, Welk's voice actor is pretty capable in this game. He's not a complex character. He's literally just a farm boy, who likes drawing things and just happens to own a tank, which, as people tend to.
Put your hands in the air, slowly.
Alicia doesn't have as much of a character, other than the fact she's a scout and she has a secret past you'll find out later.
What's your name?
My name's Welkin. And you
Okay, I thought it was Welks. It's Welkin.
We're with the Brultown Watch. I'm Alicia. Alicia Melchiot. So, I'm wondering what you've been writing in that little book you've got there. Imperial spies are in the area.
This book is nothing, really. I was just sketching the fish, and...
I remember at the time this game came out, Zero Punctuation or Yahtzee had a lot to say about the meet-cute nature of JRPGs, World War I as told through the lens of a meet-cute, anime storytelling device. And to be honest, I don't mind it. JRPGs are not common enough anymore that JRPG stereotypes or JRPG methods of storytelling are offensive to me. In fact, I would say that, in 2024, they're almost like a breath of fresh air. It's like slipping on a pair of comfortable socks, or sandals, or slippers.
You're not bad with a pen, are you? I have to say, they're really very good.
Thank you. So you see, I really was just sketching.
Maybe. Or this could be some
Even
kind
for the
of secret
PS3
code.
generation,
I tend to
the
take
mouse
my time
flapping
finding
was
out
not
for sure.
great.
Great.
In fact, there, when they had the close-up on him, they drop his head so you can't see his mouth moving.
Oh, your timing is perfect.
What have you gotten yourself into now?
Yeah, see?
Valkyria?
Nice little camera change to the back there so you don't see the mouth moving.
Wait.
They knew that they couldn't really
Didn't you
animate,
live at the old
you
general's
know,
house?
the
That's
mouse.
right. I'm General
The mouths are
Valkyr's
tiny
daughter,
too, so you
Waaah.
couldn't get much
You
out of
are the
that.
one supposed to evacuate, right? Yes, I'm aware of that. My brother's here to help me move to the capital, but that may be difficult. I mean, unless you're willing
Now, of
to
course,
let
if
me
you've
go,
grown up with
then-
classic JRPGs, you're not expecting major production values. I don't ever think that that was the strength of this particular genre of gaming.
I apologize.
Other than
But I
Square
love just
Enix
doing
and
my
like
job,
Final
you know.
Fantasy, which
I saw
obviously
you
always
know,
put
but
technology
without your
first,
spy.
a lot of
I'm really
JRPGs at the
sorry.
time were not like major powerhouses
Don't
for their
worry, I can
generations.
see how I might have looked a little suspicious.
Lux has a real passion for observing nature.
I'm thinking of something
That's why
like
he's
Demon
studying
Souls,
it
for
at the
example.
university.
Before the Souls genre
Guilty as
existed,
charged, I get so
and
annoyed
Demon Souls was
sometimes I
literally
forget where I
branded
am.
as like a
Somebody might
Japanese
be watching.
RPG, or it was even branded as like, at the time, if you go back to the magazines and the websites that were reviewing Demon Souls, they were basically, oh, this is Japan's take on Western RPGs. And like, even at the time, Demon Souls looked terrible. Amazing art design, amazing music, iconic game, but Demon Souls was not a graphical powerhouse at the time.
Damn it!
And similarly with Valkyria Chronicles on the PS3, also not a graphical powerhouse.
You can handle a gun, right?
Yeah. I mean, I made it through training anyway.
Well, they're probably just a small scouting team.
Yeah, random farmer boy, pick up this
with you.
this rifle and go shoot yourself some Germans. It'll go great. Keep in mind that I am in fact half German, so that is not offensive for me to say. Plus, there's been so much like making fun of, you know, you want to call it, but the National Socialist Party in Hollywood, like movies like *Inglourious Bastards*, for example, starring Brad Pitt. Obviously, you know, this is like fairly common ground. I think World War I, World War II has been mined to death for content. Absolutely. So, this is the actual game,
I see 3 of them.
and it is very interesting the way that it plays out, because again, we're talking about combining genres. Again, this is a turn-based strategy game, which again, I was told in one of my videos to emphasize that. But you have this nice little head-down map, right? So like, I can kind of look around and get a sense of the enemy positions, as you might in an RTS, but obviously this is turn-based. And then it's a JRPG, and then also, now, we're a third-person shooter. Hey! Talk about, you know, genre bending, right? Valkyria Chronicles is actually a pretty cool game. I even recommend that you pick up the sequel. It's probably like $10. Obviously, this game is probably like $10. It is very... If you are a fan of video games and games that bend genres, this is obviously a very cool one. So it's basically saying that we can only fire while we're stationary. Okay. Target mode, right button. Even the controls are a little wonky, but everything does what it's supposed to. Then there we go. See? It's a little like Silent Storm. If you ever played Silent Storm way back in the day, you know, it's like a little bit of like XCOM in there. Again, if you played the XCOM series, in terms of being like a squad-based strategy experience, there is overlap with something like an XCOM. When your characters die, they're possibly dead forever. There is permadeath in the Valkyria Chronicles series, similar to an XCOM. Or, yeah, you probably want to get out of range. The only time enemies can attack you in real time is basically when you're running in their face. That's basically how that goes.
Here we go.
So we're going to try to, if we can, one-turn this as much as possible, right? Okay, not bad. So, if you don't know, in Valkyria Chronicles, the way the ratings work is basically on number of turns taken to accomplish a certain goal. That's basically it. So, number of rounds, not number of turns. So once you've used up all your command points here, your CP, that counts as a round end.
Ready to go.
Yeah, so if I've removed all the enemies in a single round, yeah, I get probably a perfect rating in this particular mission. Because I was exceptionally efficient with my command points. Yeah, so A rank is the best rank you can get. I cleared it in one turn. And that gives you the maximum amount of XP, and, you know, whatever currency you use to... I think it's like it's just money, basically. You get maximum money in XP. But yeah, if you've never played Valkyria Chronicles, it is one of those forgotten JRPG series that is genre-defining. And in fact, we looked at another one that was genre-defining a little while back. It was during that like interesting Xbox 360, PS3 phase of JRPG development, where people were really experimenting with like hybridization. They were basically making hybrid JRPGs based on Westernist inspirations. And Valkyria Chronicles was one of the most successful attempts at that. We looked at The Last Remnant as well in an earlier video. That was a successful hybrid JRPG as well. And then you have things like Lost Odyssey being very traditional, but Resonance of Fate is the one that I'm thinking of, which is also has some third-person shooter inspirations. A lot of like Gun Fu, if you've ever heard of Gun Fu before in that game.
It blooms white.
Resonance of Fate is actually one of my personal favorite hidden gems, which we might actually look at sometime on this channel as well.
Once the war is over.
Valkyria Chronicles is also a hidden gem in my opinion, but I think it's a little better known, for sure. And again, the characters aren't like terribly interesting, so I don't usually spend a ton of time watching the cutscenes. They're a little cookie cutter. They're all very nice, you know, sort of Dutch individuals, or at least, you know, fantasy Dutch individuals. And they're all very likable and sweet, and there's, you know, basically no unlikable characters in the game, which means there's not a lot of drama on screen most of the time. I think Valkyria Chronicles is actually a little bit better for making each of the individual soldiers stand out more. There's a little bit more range in terms of, like, I guess, emotions on screen, in my opinion. I remember that being a little bit better in the sequel. But in this first game, it's very, like, everyone's nice. And yeah, they're going to shoot some Germans, but they're all very, very nice people in this game. But yeah, I'm interested in hearing your guys' take. Have you played Valkyria Chronicles on the original PS3? Did you play it on PC? And then have you played the sequel as well? Obviously there were some like handheld games and stuff, but I'm talking about like the first proper sequel to Valkyria Chronicles, which you can play on PS4. They added one more class, and otherwise the game is fairly identical. So of course the idyllic village, you know, practically 10 minutes into the game is getting absolutely trashed. This is when the invasion's happening, right? And in fact, there are a lot of animes that tend to have, you know, inspirations from World War, you know, I, World War II. I'm thinking of, like, Full Metal Alchemist kind of had some of that, for sure, when you got into some of the later seasons, I felt. Now, of course, you know, Full Metal Alchemist is, like, a lot of show, so I'm, of course, talking about kind of, like, the OG seasons and things like that. But yeah, it's hard to keep track of Full Metal Alchemist lore when it's, like, been so much. But I'm just talking about, like, this normal, like, Onric Brothers, you know, he goes to his nice little alchemist academy and meets everybody, and you know, the good seasons that people remember, like the early ones. I think there's a little, like, it feels kind of similar to that. No magic, obviously, or anything, you know, similar to alchemy. Actually, there is a little bit of fantasy in this game. So later on, when they introduce the Valkyrie, the Valkyrie are essentially supernatural descendants or angelic, you know, semi-angelic beings. So now they introduce, you know, sandbags. Shooting people who have sandbags, like, just does not work ever. Well, targeting, well, okay. It's just saying go for headshots, which we learned last chapter. It's also telling you about resistances, so obviously, like, don't shoot a tank with a, you know, with a rifle, things like that. Shots to kill, number of shots per weapon type, all that stuff. Which again won't be huge right now, but you get into it kind of later.
Enemy sighted.
So I think in this particular one, we're just supposed to, like, gun it.
Enemy sighted. Yes.
Yes. Alrighty. A lot of positive vibes for sure. I don't think I even get grenades yet, I gotta be honest. Yeah, see, I was a little worried he was using the sandbag for defense, but he's not. So I should have just taken him out with Welp originally, but whatever. My turn, okay? Very JRPG. Alright, so far so good. You should be fine. I don't think you'll get taken out. Probably not. So yeah, setting your characters up in a good position is obviously very helpful. Because it allows you to efficiently counterfire on other turns, right? And I have no control over this phase. It's just turn-based. The AI is just going to pop off shots at Welkin and hopefully not kill him. And eventually, you know, Welkin might actually just die from the damage, but we'll see. Oh, that's great. That's really good. AI is not the best. Oh yeah, so that counts as a one-rounder too. So yeah, you can see there that, like, maximizing your defensive phase, even though you have no control over what happens, just planting your characters behind a sandbag at a forward position is, like, really powerful. Later on in the sequel, it gets a little more complicated because you have access to things like mortar units, and mortar units can, like, destroy sandbag units at range and, you know, stuff like that. So I think they created the mortar class to try to eliminate a little bit of, like, turtling strategies and things like that. But in this first game, turtling is, like, super powerful. Like, only tanks can deal with it, basically. You have the turtle in a forward position because of the ranking system, so they do encourage you to kind of move it. But other than that... And yeah, okay, that's nice. For story reasons, they refill his health. That's good. Obviously, counterfire doesn't do anything to a tank. Not the town watchman. So I was thinking of trying a little bit of Warhammer Vermintide 2. It's like a Left 4 Dead Warhammer flavored clone. I was thinking that we doing a little bit of like more online gaming stuff would be fun again. But again, people are also enjoying the single player content, so it's really up to you guys. And obviously, if there are games that you think are like must, covers for me, keep in mind I do not like to trend chase, so I just want to play cool old school games. But beyond that, yeah, we can absolutely, do some stuff. Now, I'm not entirely sure if I'm just supposed to be chilling behind this tank. It's been a little while since I played this game, but like right now, sure. Is there like an exit area? Oh, yeah. Okay. So you're just supposed to run around. That was dumb of me. You're just gonna want to run around all this stuff. Run. Yeah, you're supposed to run around the tank, take the long way around, and then obviously take out some dudes while you do that. There we go. The other thing with the first game is it really tutorializes pretty heavily, while I remember the sequel getting into the action a little faster. Obviously, these rounds are just playing themselves for me. Now, if you're brand new to the concept of the game, you might struggle a little more with some of, the way this plays out, but it's fairly straightforward. Yeah, so as you can see, vibes feeling a little better right now. For sure. We'll watch this last cutscene, and then, I'm just going to let it play out. And, yeah, how are you guys doing?
Martha!
No, not Welkin's mom, whose name I didn't even know. Not her.
Who cares? Not gonna make any difference when she's dead.
I love that voice actor, by the way. He used to play Wolverine in the old X-Men cartoon. The 80s one. He's so iconic. You've heard him everywhere.
Take a good look at that shawl. She's a darksin.
That explains it.
That explains it.
Stunk. Now I know it does.
He was literally in so many things. All I hear is, "Hey, bub," Yeah. He's just Wolverine to me. I can't not hear it. I know Hugh Jackman is the human Wolverine, but I'm talking about the cartoon animated Wolverine.
I will thank you to watch your tongue in this house. You have to leave now.
That's a big gun for such a little girl. Drop it.
Whatever you say, Wolverine.
Isara! Huh? Hold it right there! Die! Darksin pig!
Yeah, I forgot about that too. In this game, there's actually a Jewish parallel, a fantasy parallel. I entirely forgot about that. They called him Darskin or something like that, but yeah.
Moving her would be dangerous.
Right. Well, we can't just leave her here. What are we gonna do? There are a lot of Imperials out there, Reese. It's only a matter of time before they take over the Mill Plaza.
But yeah, no, like I was saying, how are you guys doing? What's going on in your life? Tell me in the comments. If you've been going through any dark times lately and then you find yourself kind of coming out the other side of the tunnel, let me know. So this was Valkyria Chronicles, and I am, of course, Eternal King. Stay classy, San Diego.